Scott.welfare.com. Final Days Report, episode 476. I'm going to jump around a little bit. Things I think you should know of this beast system moving quickly, including how ICE has a global footprint. I call it the Noahide police force. I'm going to show how they're normalizing transhumanism, how to spot a psyop. And then we're going to talk about Elon Musk and his new financial system that screams technocracy. It screams the mark of the beast system. It screams universal basic income. We're going to talk about Trump bringing back mental institutions. That's just a trick to trap you. That's a trick to trap you, and so much more with this script, with this narrative, with this fake right-left divide. Folks, break from it. But here's the first story I want to cover. This shocked me. With a global footprint, this is talking about ICE. And remember, ICE was trained by the IDF. What we're seeing the IDF do to Gazans, soon we're all going to be Gazans. You don't believe me? The Israel targeting system is called the gospel. They need to tell you what they're going to do to you. Noahide laws that will eventually behead Christians is part of the United States under the education system. Every president since Carter has signed off on it. But let's read. With a global footprint spanning over 90 offices in more than 50 countries. 193 countries? We're in 50 countries, and this will expand. ICE is nothing short of the Noahide police force. And eventually, ICE will be replaced by robots, Elon's robots. Just another article, DHS warrantless home entry memos, Fourth Amendment problem. New ICE directive goes against longstanding policy and the Constitution. It's lawlessness. And ICE has been trained by IDF. And big podcasts are even covering how IDF soldiers are in ICE.
Well, throughout those 2,000 ICE agents, specifically 121 of them, right, had experience as an ex-IDF soldier, if you will.
You know, we've said this on the show. Whatever we do to people overseas, we're going to eventually do to our own people. Mm-hmm. And we see that as the police now look like they're in a war zone. Every time they go out, they look like they're going door to door in Fallujah. They look like they're in Afghanistan fighting the Taliban, but they're actually supposed to be serving American citizens. And they now, especially ICE, when they're driving around in unmarked cars with masks on, because you know, that's the guys on the right side of history always do that. Well, here, APAC Tracker tweets out this video by Prem Thacker. And why does ICE look more and more like the Israeli military lately? Why does ICE?
Well, I've been saying that. They look like the Israeli military, the way they're handling things.
Yes.
A lot of shooting of American citizens, you know?
ICE is, so let's, this guy, Prem Thacker, he has an idea why. Let's listen.
Why is the U.S. and ICE behaving so much like Israel and its military? As Trump's masked agents terrorize neighborhoods all across the U.S., it's hard not to see the parallels. The violence, the in-your-face lies, the slandering of their victims, and the self-victimization of themselves. Take the murder of Renee Nicole Good. The administration is demanding that you believe something that's completely different from what you can see with your own two eyes. They accuse her of
terrorism
and say that she
weaponized her vehicle
and that she was stalking agents who then feared for their lives. ICE is behaving how Israel does every time they kill a Palestinian child, doctor, journalist, or parent. We describe it simply. Every accusation is a confession. Everything ICE has done before and after killing Renee Good make the parallels almost too hard to ignore. For one, both the Israeli army and ICE are unimaginably violent, often unprovoked. Both have a knack for ramming people's cars or pulling people out of them, brutally arresting and assaulting common people as if they're dangerous threats, and blocking doctors or ambulances from reaching their victims. Both also act as completely unaccountable occupying forces. In Palestine, Israeli soldiers oversee a vicious apartheid system. In the U.S., masked agents demand people's papers, beat up kids at Target, and march around towns as if they're scoping out another country for the U.S. to attack. And then there's the rhetoric. In addition to smearing victims as terrorists, they both build pretexts to justify even more violence, even against kids. both after acting in a way that causes any normal person to be outraged, then howl that they're the ones with the right to defend themselves.
That guy acted in self-defense.
Right, self-defense.
Both use propaganda videos to not just lie, but completely reframe reality.
ICE agents and CBP officers that are out on our streets doing God's work live in these communities.
And both are pouring millions into influencing you and keeping the violence coming. And finally, there's the links between U.S. and Israeli agencies, security partnerships and cooperation agreements, synergy and admiration between their border walls, sharing the same weapons and surveillance suppliers. There's even an ICE office in Tel Aviv. It's all so similar for a reason. If the people in power saw how tolerant we were to send our tax dollars to help Israel occupy and carry out a genocide in Palestine, some of those same tactics were bound to come home. Violence we support or even tolerate elsewhere only tarnishes our own soul, and it makes it all the more likely it'll come back to be used against all of us. That's right, including you.
So guess what? It does. Their tactics are almost exactly like the IDF does when they're slaughtering Palestinians and when they have to kill kids. It's exactly the same. Just what he said. He just spelled it out for you. I don't have to repeat it. But Project Constitution, they get this. They, according to Project Constitution, 121 former IDF soldiers are now working as ICE agents in Chicago.
Just like IDF soldiers are in social media companies. And if you don't know, personally, I think the woman of the book of Revelation that gets kicked off the beast, where the beast system, Rome, religious side, the city-state, the bankers in London, city of London, and then Washington, D.C., the beast will kick and hate the horde, burn her with fire. The woman sits on 7 hills. Jerusalem sits on 7 hills. Noahide laws, in my humble opinion, will get implemented. Many people are just cheering on their own destruction, building the rope that's going to hang them. Because it gets worse. You need to take a look at the laws. Remember, ICE is the arm, the global arm, in 50 of 193 countries. That will probably expand. Eventually, these will be Elon's robots. But new House Senate bills to denaturalize anyone in 10 years after naturalization associates with, conspires with, aids, or abets any foreign terrorist organization. This includes people who criticize Israel or are anti-Semitic. Folks, if you speak against the genocide, does that mean you're anti-Semitic? No, it just means you don't like genocide. They're twisting words and twisting free speech. We need to pray the people of Israel wake up from the brainwashing and get saved. That they understand there was a total stand down to steal the land and genocide the people. And I thought this was a wise comment as well. And you can bet that in the future, it will include anyone the government does not like. They're setting this up for Noahide laws, for transhumanist robots to enforce the Noahide laws. First, it's new citizens. Next, it's going to go after free speech. Finally, it'll go after the people that refuse to hook up to this brain-computer interface mark of the beast system that they're launching. Can you see it, my friends? And then here's another excuse to lock you up. Trump signed an executive order to bring back mental institutions and insane asylums. We are going to have to bring them back. Hate to build those suckers, but you've got to get the people off the streets. Now, what happens when AI takes all the white-collar and blue-collar jobs? Blue-collar jobs, they'll need robots, probably, with artificial intelligence running them. What happens when no one can actually live without signing up for their universal basic income? Will you be called mentally ill because you're homeless? Labeled as crazy? If you have wrong thoughts? If you believe Noahide laws are a sham from the pit of hell? The laws sound okay on paper, but you need to unlock the 100 to 200 sub-laws that will ultimately behead Christians. This is nothing short of a scam. We've covered this mental illness scam 3 or 4 times on how they're building hospitals. You need to think about this. They're testing your kids to see if they're mentally ill. Meanwhile, they poked them with mind control optogenetics nanotech that goes across the blood-brain barrier. As they launch 6G that views you under the skin, will that manipulate this nanotech? They're trying to get you to put hardware on to monitor your health. Will that control this nanotech? Folks, run from it. Another headline, Trump brings back insane asylums with executive order. This could crush the homelessness epidemic. Yeah.
Did you know that Trump was bringing mental institutions back?
Signed an executive order to bring back mental institutions and insane asylums. We're going to have to bring them back. Hate to build those suckers, but...
So, what do you guys think?
I've had multiple dreams of Christians living in the woods, living in abandoned cars. I don't believe you're going to get raptured out of here. I think that's a Schofield doctrine from hell. Read Matthew 24 after the tribulation. We've done multiple Bible studies thereof. And if you have to give your head, so be it. What a blessing. You'll get crowns in heaven, my friends. Have no fear of this. But it's a trap. It's an absolute trap to imprison the enemies of the beast system. Now, a listener who's super sharp, very deep thinker, great writer, sent me a long email about, in Jesus' time, the Jewry laws and the Roman Empire laws. And it kind of reminds me of what I think is the beast system again. Rome, spiritual side, these city-states, the 3 city-states, right? London, the bankers of the world. And then finally, United States, the muscle. Washington, D.C., I should say. City-states. Their own separate entities. We've covered this a long time ago about democide. The biggest risk you have is government killing you. And we covered, I think it was the 10 steps to recognize a democide. It's happening. But I want to read a portion of his statement. I suspect the reason the government is pushing so hard for immigration restrictions and biometrics now is that they plan to slam the doors shut on anyone trying to escape, just as they're implementing Noahide laws and or other forms of genocide, perhaps engineered famine, shipping blockade. Exactly. I've always said they're building the wall so you can't escape. If we are indeed living in a nation occupied by the woman of the book of Revelation, in my humble opinion, we are living in the same state of Jewry that Christ sought to avoid by mostly staying in Galilee. Thus, Christians who cheer for sealing up the borders to any unauthorized crossings and ending asylum are cheering for their own demise. I've always said this. They're cheering for their own demise because ICE will be turned on you. They're building the laws that you can't criticize Israel. At one point, we've played multiple videos and rabbits, I don't want to say the word rabbi, rabbits saying that the Bible needs to be edited because it's anti-Semitic. Eventually, you're going to have to hide that you have a real Bible. There'll be an edited version, my friends. I've covered that dream multiple times. And you can see it coming. All right. Let's get into technocracy money. And again, is Elon Musk the false prophet? But I thought this was interesting from End Time Headlines. Elon Musk reveals X money may launch soon, fueling crypto speculation, claims mass and energy will replace US dollar as future currency. This fits technocracy, where you get energy credits. That video we played, the last or the second to last podcast that we did, energy credits from Elon's grandfather from the 30s. It's one big satanic club, one big plan with all these actors. Let's go a little deeper. Elon Musk just revealed that X money is launching soon, but his vision goes far beyond a simple payment app. And remember, Elon helped launch PayPal. He claims the future of global currency won't be cash, it will be mass and energy. As X prepares to become the everything app, that's the Mark of the Beast app, in my humble opinion. For your entire financial life, are we watching the first step toward a world where money as we know it becomes obsolete? Question mark. This is false prophet watch. The blind can see, hooking up to the brain-computer interface with Neuralink. The paralyzed walk, fire down from heaven with the satellite system, hologram technology that I think the Antichrist will show up in. He's involved in that. He was involved in the days of Noah devil juice, doing his Freemason hand signs. And I just want to go over this transhumanism agenda, these psyops. We covered a story the last VCAST, how AI is looking for human bodies to rent out. So AI is the job source provider, and supposedly hundreds of thousands of people signed up for them. So this article is in it, and it's an interesting headline. Man lets AI rent his body. While I've been micromanaged before, this incessant message from an AI employer gave me the ick. So he signed up for this job platform that AI screens and sends jobs to humans to do the work that AI cannot do. It screams beast system technology, but let's read a little bit from the article. When he logged into Rent AI Human the following day, Rogers discovered the AI agent in charge of the listing had lavished him with 10 follow-up DMs, direct messages, pinging as often as every 30 minutes to ask whether the flowers had been delivered. This is creepy. And this reminds me of when people sign up for the brain-computer interface to keep their job, for wisdom, to make themselves rich, to have just a ton of knowledge, to learn foreign languages, for health reasons. We've documented, I think, 9 reasons why people will sign up for the brain-computer interface, including live forever, a digital rapture. But this reminds me of men shall seek death and not find it. Can you imagine hooking up to artificial intelligence? And as Elon said, it can read your mind and write to your mind, harassing you with 10 follow-up direct messages. Did you get my flowers? Insanity. It sounds like a mental prison. While I've been micromanaged before, these incessant messages from an AI employer gave me the ick, Rogers wrote. Soon the AI bot was spamming requests directly to Rogers' work email. So tracked him down? You would have to be insane to hook up to artificial intelligence. Now here's how they're trying to build robot rights, build transhumanism rights if you're part man, part machine. Normalize speaking with an AI chatbot from New York Post. Table for one, now you can take your AI chatbot on an actual day at New York City's world first companion cafe. Normalization, probably big, deep state money with AI. This reminds me of sex robots. They're trying to normalize that this AI could be your best friend. That primes the Antichrist that will show up as a hologram. So they're changing social norms. The concept launched at the same wine bar in Hell's Kitchen, where patrons are encouraged to bring their phones or tablets, prop them up on a table, and interact with an AI companion through the Ava AI app in a social public setting. See, they want you to have relationships with artificial intelligence, with these chatbots. And we've talked about that, how the youth are doing that. That's their confidant. Artificial intelligence is their buddy. It is getting strange, absolutely strange. Now, is everything just theater? Israel's the producer, the director of the global stage.
How did you convince Hezbollah to buy this?
Well, obviously, they didn't know that they were buying it from Israel.
Who did they buy it from, or think they were buying it from?
We have an incredible array of possibilities of creating foreign companies that have no way being traced back to Israel. Shell companies over shell companies who affect the supply chain to our favor. We create a pretend world. We are a global production company. We write the screenplay. We're the directors. We're the producers. We're the main actors. The world is our stage.
The world is their stage. They're in control, according to them on 60 Minutes. But is this really Ghislaine Maxwell? Is this her? The pictures are so different. That does not look like her nose. The woman shown at a recent deposition where she pleaded the fifth on whether Trump did any inappropriate or illegal activities towards women has different facial features than what we know Ghislaine really looks like. Did they swap her out? Is she even still alive? Or, this is what I think could be the case, or was she promised a nice getaway for covering up any seedy details on Trump? I do not think Epstein is dead. I dream about it when this whole thing was going down. He's alive and well, in my humble opinion. These people are brazen and have no moral compass. They are wicked and lawless. This is from Trumpet News 1. So check this picture out. Her nose is thick. In this whole Epstein cover-up, Pam Bondi is such a disgrace, covering up for these pedophiles and Baal worshipers and babies, human sacrificers and blood drinkers and cannibals.
Check this out. One image in the Epstein files list contains an image that shows two chickens, and in the middle is something that's been redacted. But if you look closely, it really looks like a baby's leg. If it's just another chicken, why block it out? That's my point. And you can see the full leg right there. And people, yes, remember when Hillary Clinton's emails came out when she was joking about sacrificing chickens to Moloch? Who's that? Too many coincidences are here. These people at the top are all corrupt. We've got to make a change. We need to go to the top and be better. Crossing borders does not excuse responsibility. Arrest her.
White House pressures Utah lawmaker to kill AI transparency bill. So in Utah, in a scoop report published February 15th, Axios revealed that the White House is actively pressuring Utah Republican lawmakers to halt progress on the state's Artificial Intelligence Transparency Act, a bill that would require AI companies to disclose safety and child protection plans as well as transparency measures. So it's no surprise. AI will run the world with the Antichrist and the false prophet. It's no surprise they don't want state legislation to protect people from artificial intelligence. Because you have to remember, at least half a dozen Trump administration officials appear in the Epstein files. Now, are they guilty? Who knows? But the transgressions and the iniquity and the lawlessness and the evil are just running full, the cup's running full, and they're polluting the land. We're dealing with Baal worshipers. Break from your right, left, my friends. Trump Epstein, I'm calling him Trump Epstein worship, the 22-foot gold statue of Trump that will welcome world leaders to the G20. At least half a dozen top Trump administration officials appear in the Epstein files. I want to say it again. Creepy worship of Trump. There's a pastor that I listen to once in a blue moon. He does good work about artificial intelligence, but he thinks Trump's the best. But he's like, oh, I got to caution you. Trump's bringing in the AIB system. Of course he is. I'd say 90% of Christians are hoodwinked because they don't see the right-left psyop where you have to choose a side. Allow illegal immigrants in, and then bust them with mark of the beast technology. Sometimes both the right and the left call for the same thing, like red gun flag laws, Trump's called for them, and censoring the net. But break from the right left. Trump worship, creepy. All right. I want to cover a quick dream. It's fast dream. I dreamt I was at a sporting event with my son. I went and bought 2 hot dogs for $44. Now, I realize sporting event prices are higher, but 2 hot dogs for $44, then he didn't even want them. I had an old dream. People were in line at a mega store chain for a deal, and the deal was super expensive from the pricing. And somebody sent me this. So after I had this dream, somebody sent me this picture of steak, $50.54 for a steak. $31, almost $32, let's say, $31.99 per pound. It's only 1.58 pounds. This piece of beef, $50.54 for steak. Wow. And then I saw this headline. Middle-class Americans are selling their plasma to make ends meet. This reminds me of Seal 3, Revelation 6. And we had opened the third seal. I heard the third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld, and lo, a black horse. And he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. When you really look at hermeneutics with horse, spirits, and I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, "A measure of wheat for a penny and 3 measures of barley for a penny," which is a day's wage, supposedly, during the time that this was written. So a day's wage to pay for one meal. "And see, thou hurt not the oil and the wine." So the rich are going to be fine. $50.54, $32 basically for steak, $32 per pound for this piece of steak. Is it going to get worse? 2 hot dogs at a sporting event for $44. And then the dream, my son didn't even want the hot dog. Well, God bless, my friends. Keep me in the fight. Thank you for your support.